In the autumn of 2008, I remember living in York in England, and I was in a really strange place in my career. It was one of those feelings where I didn't really know where I was going. It felt kind of like burnout city. I remember doing a lot of teaching and thinking, okay, something needs to happen. I just don't know what. So I got this grand idea that I was going to enter the National Flute Association's Young Artist Competition because I thought it would really make me work, on my flute, learn all this new repertoire, get it up to competition standard. And so I did. Like I ordered all the repertoire. I went to go see teachers down in London for lessons. I worked my bum off for this competition. And if you know the NFA competitions at the beginning of the year are when the deadlines are. And I remember it was a really snowy day, and it was one of those like moments where I had to get the recording in the mail because it was an international entry and it had to be sent way, early so that they would get it in time. I remember because of the weather, I was like driving to the post office all stressed. But before that, I remember making the recording. I rented out this recital hall to make the recordings for the competition. And I remember being in the recital hall and thinking to myself, like, you know what? I don't really love a lot of this repertoire, but it just so happened that one of the pieces was Astor Piazzolla's Tango-Etude number 2. And I remember thinking in that recording session, like, actually, the only one I really, really am enjoying playing at the moment is this Piazzolla. And at that point, I had not seen that score for quite a while. I had seen it, maybe 10 years previous, kind of dabbled in it, but it was that moment in that recording session, I thought, heck with all this other stuff. What is this score? I really want to just work on this. And I remember having this dilemma when I was recording it because it was with a pianist and it was the edition that has a piano accompaniment to it, which I thought kind of made the melody sound a little bit strange, but that's another story. And I remember really wanting to tango it up because I had been listening to Astor Piazzolla's um, recordings of his tango band, and I just thought, what you see on the score is really not how I hear tango music. And I had this dilemma because, like I said, because the dilemma was I wanted to play it in a style that I was maybe hearing, even though I didn't really know how. And I also knew that in order for me to get higher into the competition, that I would probably need to read the score as is and try to just stick to what was there. And in the end, I stuck to what was there. I made sure it was as exact as possible. But I didn't really feel that great about it in terms of that interpretation idea. So anyway, sent off all the recordings, blah, blah, blah. I didn't win the competition, but it was a really good experience. But why I'm bringing it up is because that was the moment I decided that in my burnt out music state, when I was really honest with myself, that was the music I was really interested in at the time. And I've written tons of stuff on, that era of my life when I was feeling super burnt out, didn't really know what to do. You kind of had to drag me through it all, even to turn up to my teaching. And you can find all those stories on my blog, etc. But that score was kind of the pathway into what I decided to do next, which was to do an entire PhD and take myself to Buenos Aires and Paris and London and present all of this work and immerse myself in the world of the tango. And, it's the subject of my PhD. So many years later, I decided it was finally time to record these etudes because if you can imagine writing 100,000 words on them, something there's no better way to get your point across than to actually lay them to tracks. So that's what I did. And so recently I booked out a stunning recital venue here in Penzance in Cornwall, where I'm living. And I didn't want the recording venue to be, like fluorescent lighting, confined space. I wanted a place where I could really turn up and almost make each session to be like a meditation. Something like just turn up and just play and play and play for the hour. And the venue, if you ever have a chance to go to Penzance, it's literally at the end of the country, and it's surrounded by palm trees and this lush garden, and it overlooks the Mounts Bay, which is St. Michael's Mount, and the ocean, and it's just stunning. So for each of these etudes, there are 6 of them. I booked out 6 sessions, 6 hours, and I would literally turn up day after day and just play and eventually choose the track that I thought best represented what I was trying to get across. I was very lucky because Chris Doggett is a sound engineer with BBC who happened to be retired newly to Cornwall. So I managed to snatch him for the mic setup, etc. And of course, the acoustics were all live. And I wanted the recordings to be almost like a meditation, like I said, for myself. So I played them with spontaneity, freedom. I literally was playing them for myself. So anyone that knows me knows that my flute playing, for me, what's really important is for it to be a medium to something greater in myself and something greater in my life. So I try to use that approach to how I perform them, as well as all the academic research I did on them all those many years. So it is such a pleasure to know that you could potentially listen to them. It's such an honor, and I really hope you enjoy them. I really enjoyed laying them to track and performing them and recording them. Bye for now.